Okay, so if I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't super know what this is yet. I've wanted to do something creative, some kind of content for a long time, and it just hasn't ever really panned out the way I wanted to. I've always had an excuse as to why I can't start. Like, I've always been really into gadgets and phones and technology. I'm like, oh, I could do reviews, I could do video reviews, and then I was like, well, I mean, that market's pretty saturated, and I don't want to be just another one. And then I thought to myself, I like video games. I can talk about video games, do walkthroughs, do streams, and that kind of. But again, that market is just so saturated. There's so many people doing that. And as much as I want to do something like that, that's not a market that I want to get into right now. It's not one that I think I can get into right now and be successful. So I was talking to my sister and her boyfriend last week, and we were talking about just kind of YouTube in general, what I wanted to do for this series. And like I said, I've been talking about doing this for a long time, and they're both extremely supportive, along with my fiance, and they've been encouraging me for so long to do something. I haven't had an idea of what to do, and I think I know what I want to do now, at least to get started. I mean, there's so many different avenues I can go down, but where I want to go with this, at least to start, is just to talk, to discuss things, to have high level, small level, like anything, any kind of question out there that may need an answer, or anything just discussed to maybe give somebody else an idea or a different way to think about something, or maybe the same way to think about something. I like a lot of things. A coworker of mine once told me, after we gotten done talking about several different topics, I think we went from fantasy football to video games to politics, all in a matter of minutes, and he just looks at me and he goes, "You know what, Jake? You're very average at everything." And I know he intended that to be like kind of an insult, but the more I thought about it, the more I took pride in it. I have a very moderate level of knowledge on most topics. I like knowing things. Personally, I think it's helped me a lot in my life and my career. You can connect with people a lot more, something I've not been typically good at. If you can strike up a conversation and have common interests with each other. So in thinking about that, and then thinking about who I am and what I'm good at, I feel like I'm good at speaking passionately and not necessarily being eloquent, but I know that when I talk, I've been told that people find it interesting just because of the way I convey my message, the way I want people to know that I enjoy what I'm talking about, and I'm passionate about it. So while we were talking the other day, my sister just asked a question, because we were talking about YouTube and how to make a series and how to make it popular and grow and then eventually monetize it. And she just asks me, and she says, "What do you guys think the next YouTube's going to be?" We had to ask her what she meant, and she explained again, well, what's going to be the next YouTube, the next like video service that takes off? And at the time I thought about it and I said, well, there isn't going to be. That doesn't make sense. YouTube is what it is because it's YouTube. I mean, it just took off. It owns that market. I mean, nothing is going to come in and take away YouTube from YouTube. That, like, the whole video sharing, video publishing market is owned by them, and I don't foresee anything taking that away, barring some massive failure within that company. And honestly, I just don't see that. And when something becomes big and giant, or something takes over, I think the best example that people usually think about is MySpace and Facebook, where people seem to think that Facebook took over MySpace's market. And I personally don't think that's the case. I mean, yeah, they did similar things. They were a place to be social with each other, but they did it in a very different way. I mean, MySpace was more of a digital representation of who you were as a person, whereas Facebook was a direct tool to keep in touch. And I think that what MySpace did well was letting other people see a window into who you are, and be able to have that sort of personal connection with you through almost like a window, being a fly on the wall into your life. Whereas Facebook, when it came out and when it started to gain popularity, it was more of it kind of is what Twitter is now, but it was just a place to talk about what's going on in your life. and it was a place for other people to comment and communicate back to you in a way that MySpace didn't do well. And I think that's what made that service succeed more than MySpace did. And it wasn't because they took their market, it was because they created a market that was more valuable, that people wanted to be in more. And I think the same thing will go for YouTube if it ever does get kind of taken over. But I think Google is enough of a intelligent company to be able to foresee those changes and then change with the times. I mean, you can already see with YouTube and how they've been having a big push on live more recently. I mean, Facebook's doing the same thing too, because Twitch came out, and Twitch has been so popular and has changed the game on video sharing. I think when you think about what YouTube is good at, it's a place to find content, and both homegrown and professionally done content. You can find anything you want on YouTube, and I think that is what that company has become and how it's made it as excellent as it has. And so when thinking about what the next YouTube is going to be, it's not going to be a video platform. That's not what it's going to do. The next YouTube, in my opinion, is going to be the next company that finds a way to take content over all forms of media and almost be like an aggregate of it in a polished way. I mean, there are plenty of content aggregates out there, but every single one kind of almost feels clunky. That feels like it's trying to show off the fact that it's an aggregate, whereas YouTube was so interesting and so special, where even though it was sourced from millions and millions of different content creators, it all felt like they were going for the same purpose. It was going to the same place, and it was intended to go to that place. So when I think of what the next big content aggregate, it's going to be all kinds of content. It's going to be written, it's going to be video, it's going to be audio, it's going to be everything, but it's all going to be in one place. I mean, it's going to be designed to be in one place, not I'm going to pull this video from YouTube and then also have an article directly after it from The Verge, and then here's my link to a CNN post, and here's a Twitter bubble. That's not how it's going to be. That's not what people want. At least that's not what I want. What I want is I want a place where people will go and they'll upload their video, and then someone else will upload their written review, and then someone else will go and they'll direct message somebody else or post on it. And I want the internet, all of the good parts of the internet in one place. So, but fragmented by category. And I think that kind of really hits home what I enjoy about the internet and what I'm good at with the internet. I do a lot of research. I look up a lot of stuff. I go to several sites daily. I mean, Twitter for me is a news source. It's not a communication platform. And what I want to be able to have is to be able to open up the internet and it all feel one, and not have several different sites. And I still want those other places to exist. I mean, we still have other content places that are different than YouTube, but I want to be able to go to a place that someone has uploaded a video of themselves talking about something, and then within that same vein, somebody else releasing or publishing an article about what they wrote in that same topic, but in the same design, the same aesthetics. That is what I think the next big creation will be. The next big content collaboration is going to be all forms of media in one place. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, or if you guys think I'm dumb and crazy and nobody wants that, and that's fine. I mean, that's just what I want. If you guys have other thoughts, I mean, let me know. Leave comments. Talk about what you think the next big media sensation is going to be. And that's kind of the direction where I want this to go, this series. Is I want it to be an open conversation. I want to be able to talk about literally anything that you want or anything that I want. I mean, I want to talk to you about who you should start next week in your fantasy football lineup. And I want to talk about the change in smartphone technology. And I want to talk about how good Absolver is. And I want to talk about anything and everything. I want to talk about what temperature of steak is the right temperature to have. I mean, it's medium rare, so we don't need to discuss that, but there's so many different things that I love and I'm passionate about and I want to discuss with you, and I hope that you guys will give me the time of day to have that conversation. So yeah, I mean, I think that's where this is going to end now. Please talk to me. Boy, there's just an obnoxious cat. Hey, Armani. Yeah, that's unacceptable. There's a lot of stuff that I want to discuss and I want to talk about with you. So please leave comments. I'll probably be more active on Twitter. Follow me on at EnsorJ. That's ENSORJ. I'll probably be posting like questions or like just say, hey, reply with your thoughts or your questions about whatever, and then maybe we can see what this goes. I've got a lot of ideas, and I'm an idea guy, and if you want to hear those ideas, let me know.